explain probably how it works, right? Maybe with some examples if possible. So yeah, and then we'll have discussion maybe after finish, maybe like 30 minutes or something.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. See you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, everyone. I only just got this for a bit less than a month, so I've been experimenting with it to see, and I've used it in lectures as well, and I've overcome all the difficulties and the errors, and hopefully, after this presentation, you can use it much more smoothly than what I did. So I'll do a live demonstration, but I just want to briefly introduce the Surface Pro. I didn't get any money from Microsoft, so I'm not promoting their products specifically, but it's interesting to compare with other tablets that are on the market and see the pros and cons. So we'll go through a bit about the tablet itself, the pen, most importantly, and I'll go through and show you how to connect to the audio-visual equipment in the lecture theatre. And then we'll do a live demonstration which should form the major part of the presentation. So this is just a brief introduction. It's produced by Microsoft. It's a touchscreen tablet. Comes with a pen. It's an active capacitive pen, and it's quite a large device compared with other tablets. And the keyboard is optional. It's extra $150, and that just snaps onto the actual tablet. So if you need to do much typing in a lecture, if you need to type code, MATLAB, Excel, whatever, then the keyboard is quite useful. And because I use it for teaching programming, the keyboard proved to be very useful. You can get different spec tablets. So they've got Core i3, i5, i7 processors. Gradually become more powerful as you go up the line. This one was a Core i3 because I was mainly using it for just as a tablet, okay, for writing lecture notes, for presenting slides. I'm not going to run anything processor intensive. I'm not going to run a fluid dynamics simulation on it or anything. So I didn't really need that extra power. But if you are going to demonstrate very computationally intensive software, then you probably want to get a much powerful processor. It comes with one USB port, so it is a little bit limited, and it uses Windows 8.1. Now, there's actually two tablet products from Microsoft. There's a Surface and a Surface Pro. The Surface is actually pretty much the same device, but it uses a different processor. It uses an ARM-based processor. The disadvantages with the Surface, compared with the Surface Pro, which is what I've got here, is that it doesn't come with a pen, and it doesn't run normal Windows. That is, the Windows that runs on Intel processors. So you won't be able to install your custom software on it that usually runs in Windows because it's built on a completely different architecture. Okay, whereas the Surface Pro is Intel-based, so it's literally a PC. You can install whatever programs you use in your teaching on the Surface Pro, but not on the Surface. But the Surface is a much cheaper product, and I think that's the only advantage of the Surface. Okay. So the Surface Pro is a full Intel-based PC, and you can use it as such. So that does make it a little bit more expensive as well. If we compare the Surface Pro with other tablets like Android or iPads, the other tablets don't run Windows, obviously, so they have their own proprietary operating system. So, and usually they're designed to be a gadget where you push buttons, but they're not an actual PC, so you can't run any custom software that you usually use on a PC. And the pens that you get for these other tablets tend to be passive capacitive. So they tend to be of this type of pen, and I've got one. It's a very thick, rubbery tip. When you write when you write on the screen on these tablets, it's simulating your finger. But the problem is because it's so thick, there's no accuracy. You can't see where it's the point of contact, and it's very difficult to write. I've tried many times to write using these sorts of pens, and the result isn't that good. Okay. And also I've noticed there's a noticeable delay. So when you're writing stuff there, it's important to see, to get the visual feedback of what you're writing is actually appearing on there. I've noticed some delay in that. So that's why the Surface Pro is a much better solution, mainly because of the pen. The pen is an active capacitive pen. It does pressure sensitivity, so the harder you push into the screen, obviously not too hard, it actually detects that you want a thicker line. And notice how thin the tip is on this Surface pen, and that's quite important because you need to be able to see where you're making contact with the screen. It also offers palm rejection, so as it detects your pen is really close to the screen, usually your palm will be resting on the screen, and that can cause things to move up and down. It actually detects that, well, you're writing now, so I'm going to ignore any palm movement. Okay, and the other tablets don't necessarily have that feature, and it's much more accurate. It's got faster response. The only difference is it is an active pen, so it does run off batteries. Okay, it does run off 4A batteries, which I've never heard of before I got this. So the pen is really I find the biggest feature of the Surface Pro that other tablets don't offer. Now in the lecture theatre, when you're using this device, you obviously want to project it onto the screen for lecture capture purposes, and obviously for everyone else in the lecture theatre. There's two options for connecting the Surface Pro. The Surface Pro has a mini DisplayPort for you to plug in. So this does not directly plug into VGA. You need a special adapter. Okay, so this is the tethered option where you actually. So this is actually from a Mac. It's actually a DisplayPort to VGA adapter. You just plug it in to the side, right way, and then you connect it to the VGA cable in your lecture theatre. So the problem with this is that you're limited to standing in this position all the time. You can't walk around the room, and even, especially in this room, I can't carry my tablet and point to certain things because I'll need a longer tether, which you can get. Okay, so you can get really long VGA cables, and you're literally limited to the length of that. Okay, so that's the in major lecture theatres. I've noticed they've got HDMI, so you can actually get DisplayPort to HDMI adapters. So that's the tethered option, and I'll use that as mainly a backup in case the second option doesn't work. And the second option is to use wireless screen mirroring. This uses a standard called Miracast, and what it allows us to do is to wirelessly project what's on the screen of your tablet onto the projector, so that you can walk around, literally walk around the room with your tablet and still have that wireless connection to update what's on the projector. Now this does require some extra hardware, specifically a dongle. So Miracast is a standard. There's lots of dongles available. Prices vary quite a lot. The one I've tried is the Measy A2W Miracast. It's $25 off eBay, and it's just a device, as you can see, that's powered from USB. So usually there'll be a PC in the lecture theatre, so you just plug it into the USB, and it's only for power. So it's to power the device. On one end is an HDMI connection. So what you can do is connect this to the HDMI cable. Now this is a male HDMI, whereas the HDMI cable in the lecture theatre is all male. So You can get for $3, you can get 2 of these. They're female to female HDMI connectors that you plug onto the end, and then you can connect the other male part of the HDMI cable to that. Okay, so this does wireless display, so you can connect your Surface Pro to that and walk around the room. So this is called screen mirroring.
Can I just ask that? So the other side goes with computer.
This is just for power. So
Just power.
it's just for power. It doesn't even have to go to a computer. You can actually get adapters that plug into the power point, and one end is just USB. So it's just for power. It has built-in a Wi-Fi receiver, so you can actually connect to Wi-Fi.
So are you saying that these data projectors already do have that wireless connection?
They don't. So that's why we have this device. This device will connect to the VGA cable that you usually plug your laptop in, that projects onto that.
Okay, clear.
Now for the lecture theatres that don't have HDMI, there's another adapters that will allow you to go from HDMI to VGA. Okay, it's a little bit more complicated, but hopefully, they'll start providing HDMI cables in more lecture theatres. Okay, in all the lecture theatres I've been in this semester, they all have HDMI connectors, but you can get adapters for it. Okay, now the dongle, I haven't tested the other ones. I've only tested this cheap one. It's relatively reliable. I have had some dropout issues, and hopefully, or not hopefully, we won't experience it today. But I always have this adapter in case things go wrong, just in case I can't wirelessly project. I'll have the tethered adapter there.
What's the supposed benefits of the ASUS one in terms of the 4 times the price? What's the specification that's different, you know?
It's not very apparent from what I've seen in the specifications. It is designed, they've designed it so that it works with ASUS tablets. So I haven't seen any reviews where they've connected a Surface Pro to it, so that I'm not too sure about. But I've tested the second one, which is this one, and it seems to work reasonably fine. So there's a little bit of, I guess, research that needs to be done to find the best one with the best price, and that works with the Surface Pro. Okay, so let's do a live demonstration. So the reason I did this on a PC is so that I can show you how we connect this the Surface Pro to the projector, rather than running it on this at the beginning. Okay. So what I'll do in the live demonstration is once I've got it connected, I'll show you OneNote, which is an application that comes with the Surface Pro. We'll talk about how to export to PDF, and there's a few little tricks that I've discovered to actually make it work properly for our purposes. And we'll look at PDF annotations and do some screen capture. So the first thing we'll do is hook up the Miracast dongle. So we hook up to the USB port. So there's a USB port here. Simply, as I said, it simply provides power. Then I'll connect the VGA to the VGA cable. Let's hook up the projector. And switch to laptop. Then this is the dongle. So the dongle gives you some instructions. So this is called the Easy Mirror. So we're actually doing mirroring. Up there, it's got its own. It sets up its own Wi-Fi hub. So that's the network name, the password. So obviously, you don't want the students to see this information, especially the password. So you have this in preview mode or something. And now it gives you 120 seconds to connect to it. Now on the Surface Pro, so once that's ready, on the Surface Pro, it's a little bit difficult to show. On the Surface Pro, you get the start screen. So if you flick your finger from the right, you get the charms bar, I think they call it. And if you connect devices and project, it shows up any wireless device that supports wireless mirroring. So you'll see there's a do that again, it's gone. So when we go to project, you'll see that this dongle appears on there. So we hit that, it starts the connection. And hopefully, there we are in. So you can see that everything I do here is being wirelessly transmitted to the dongle. So I can walk around now with my pen. Now the Surface Pen comes with a purple button at the top, and when you hit this, it automatically goes to the OneNote application. So when you click the top button, it automatically opens up OneNote, and we're ready to write. Okay, so this is the OneNote application. Now, OneNote has quite a number of features we can select. So if we put our pen up at the top, we can select different pens, different colours, different thickness. Okay. We can also do things like we can also select the type of paper that we want. So I'm not sure if this will show up that well, but okay, it probably doesn't show up too well, but it actually comes up with lined paper. So they've actually got thin blue lines like you have on your A4 pad. You don't see it on here because VGA is really noisy and lossy. But on the screen, you actually see faint blue lines across the screen. You can also, if we go up to this option here, you can see that we can select rule lines. So that's what we've got now. You can actually do grid paper. So you can hit grid paper. It doesn't show up that well on here, unfortunately. But it's just grid, normal standard grid paper that you can use to aid with your drawing. Okay. Now on the pen itself, there's two buttons. The bottom button is the eraser. So if you press on the bottom button, you can start erasing things. And if you need to erase a lot, so we can hit the second button, the one at the top, that allows us to select. So if you hold that button down, you can select a region that you want to select. You can move it if you wanted to, so just move it across if you need to. Or you can select this and just go delete, and that deletes everything. Okay. Now, so the pen has the OneNote button at the top. Now what we can do with OneNote is export to PDF, because what you want to do is if you're showing some problem, if you're doing a problem here, and at the end of the lecture, students will probably want a copy of it on Learning Griffith. So you want to export this to PDF. Okay, now the problem with OneNote as it is now is that there's actually infinite page size. So you can keep writing stuff on here, and the page size is unlimited. So what you would expect is if I export this to PDF, it should squeeze everything to fit onto an A4 page. And what I found was it doesn't really do that. So there's a few issues there that we can resolve. And that involves using OneNote's other form. So all apps in Windows 8, or the native apps, there's usually two versions. There's the modern app, which is the one that works in this sort of tablet-like mode. And there's also a desktop version. So if we go to the Start menu and we go to Desktop, okay, you can see we've got Windows running in desktop mode, so you can run any software that you usually run. If you want to show to students, you can install any sort of software. You can install MATLAB, install Word, Excel, etc. But what I want to show you at this stage is the OneNote desktop app. The desktop app is also free, but you do need to go on the internet and grab it. So this is OneNote 2013. Now in OneNote 2013, it shows you basically shows you what's in your cloud. So everything syncs to the cloud. So everything I wrote in the OneNote app just before, all the notebooks, all the pages get synced to your to the cloud using your account. So that means I can go in here and I can access all the things that I've written. So if I go to make quick notes, that was what I was doing just before, I think. Okay. So as you can see, this is everything. I think everything I was writing before. So that's green. Okay. Now, if I export this, actually you can probably see it here. Once it's chopped off certain bits on the end of the page. It's probably not that obvious. So what we need to do is use the desktop app to set a page size for the actual page that we're writing to. Okay? Otherwise it's going to be an infinite sort of page. And when you convert it to PDF, so converting to PDF, you just go File, Export, and you can export the page, the section, etc. And you can do export that to PDF. But it does chop off text if it goes outside its A4 range. Okay?
So Steve, why not just use that version and not the other one?
Because I've actually set it up this way, but even in this one it sets up as infinite page. You don't see it here because I've actually set up a page template, which I'm going to go through. So by default, it's an infinite page thing.
Horizontal or vertical?
Both ways.
Both ways.
Horizontal as well. But when we export it to PDF, it just chops off where it is, and you lose all that stuff. And you don't see where the guidelines are in the modern version of OneNote. So what we need to do is to go to View and go to Page Size. And page size, as you can see, it's on the side there. Yeah, okay, page size. Currently it's set to auto. Now the offender, the setting that's causing this problem is this top and bottom setting. It's set to 1.27 centimetres. So what we want to do is set the top and the bottom to 0. Now, I don't know why, but this seems to be a reasonable fix. It actually works. So we can't change it because it's set to auto. So to change the print margins, we're set to any page size, so A4. That brings up the print margins, and we just go and change the print margin to 0. Oops. As you can see, sound is also projected through wirelessly. So it's set to 0. And then once you've set it to 0, you can set the page size back to auto, and it stays at 0. Okay? So once you've done that, then if you want new pages to use this, what we can do is hit this as save as template, and we just call it whatever page. Okay, so that's saved as a template, so that every time we want to insert a new page, we go insert, there's a page templates option, and there's all these different templates that are predefined, but the one we just created, I think was just called page. So once you hit that, that wasn't trying to teach you. Yep. So what add a page, so just hit page, and it creates a untitled page there. So this page, if I write on it, okay, it's infinite in size. I can just keep writing on it. But when I go and export this, export to PDF, it'll ask you where you want to save it to, so I'll save it to the desktop. It should shrink everything it should shrink everything into the margins. And there it is. Okay, now it's not very clear because it's been expanded, but as you can see, everything's showing up there. I should have done a better attempt at that, but it has shrunk everything. It hasn't just truncated. So this seems to be the only sort of way of overcoming this limitation when we're exporting to PDF. Okay, we need to go to the desktop app, set these page margins. Same as a template, and make the section use that template each time creating a new page, so that every time you go to, say, the modern version of OneNote by clicking the button, this one's a little bit more nicer to use. We don't have all these menus there. Every time we create a new page, it should use those margins that work with PDF export. Okay, so that's something to think about if you need to export stuff to PDF so that you can put on Griffith for students. Okay. Now another great feature of the Surface Pro is if we need to do problems. So if we're doing problems, usually we show it on PDF with the solution already on there, but we don't usually get to convey the process of solving a problem. So what we can do on the Surface Pro is to create, say, a problem. So I've created one here. So this is just in PowerPoint or any sort of problem. So ask the students compute the base and collector currents for this circuit. It's just a PDF. Now we can obviously annotate on this. Actually, I'll show you again. This is just, if we use the default PDF app, just again. Just want to show you. So this one comes with the Surface Pro. This is the default PDF app. You can annotate it, so you can start writing on it. So say, oh, that's really important, and we do this, and we check for that. And so we can annotate on it, but it is very limited. Okay, the PDF annotator is a bit limited. So you can do your problem in any space here, but so you can start calculating stuff in this little space, but that's a little bit cluttered. Now what we can do is start OneNote, space, and dragging from the left, we can multitask. So I can put them side by side, so that I can show the problem on one side and go and solve it on this side. Okay, so VB is 0.7, whatever. Okay, so we can show things side by side. And you can do the problem on one side, while the question itself is still shown on the other screen. So you can do split screen, which is quite handy. Go to the desktop and run a program. So let's say I want to run Octave, which is like a free version of MATLAB, and we can start typing a MATLAB program and show some graphs to verify certain results that we're doing here. Okay, so the options are quite flexible. You can split screen and run any software in here, do your simulation, show up the results, etc. Okay, and you can even copy screenshots from the desktop or from any app really, and paste it into OneNote. So let's say in Octave we produce a graph. It's not really tricky to. Let's go and plot. Okay, so we produce a graph. And let's say I want to include this graph into my OneNote so I could annotate it and say something about it. So what we can do is take screenshots to automatically paste into OneNote. So what we do is we click the top button twice really quickly, so you do 2 clicks, it starts up OneNote, and then it shows you, well, what do you want to paste? So using your pen, you select, well, we select a region. I want this region that region to go into OneNote, and now it's somewhere. Don't know where it's gone. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay, we can click on that, we can make it bigger if we needed to, and we can annotate it. Oh, you know, this is a very straight line here. As you can see, it's actually going up while this is going up. Okay, so we can annotate stuff like that. So we can take screenshots, paste them into OneNote, and continue explaining. Another way of achieving this same effect with PDFs is, let's say we open up our PDF problem, and let's say rather than doing this split screen thing that I was doing before, where I split the screen and you know what I was doing before. Rather than doing that, I can paste this. I can take a screenshot of it, obviously, but I can send that to OneNote and paste it as a picture, so I could do some further annotation. So if we select print, in the print, you'll see at the top option there's a Send to OneNote 2013. So if we click that, this will print our PDF slide, and it will send it to OneNote, and we can select some options here. Let's print. So that's going to print it into the desktop version. Now, I just need to go back to the desktop version. There's the desktop, it's back here. So in the desktop version, OneNote will say, okay, where this PDF slide that we've printed, where do we want to insert that? So let's insert that into our teaching, and go new section here. And there it is. Okay, so if we, so this is actually our slide pasted into our OneNote. So we can do our problem here. Okay, so this means we don't have to necessarily do split screen if you don't want to. We can just paste it in there, because this goes to PDF. If I export this to PDF, then the students will be able to see the problem and your solution to it in the PDF. Whereas in the split screen one, where I split the screen, so I had this here and there, they see it on the lecture capture, they see it when they're in the lecture theatre, but when you export to PDF, they don't get to see the problem necessarily. Okay, so this could be another option. So you can go print. Now this is the desktop version of OneNote. Assuming everything's synced to the cloud, I should see it appear in the modern version. So here. Yep, so there it is. Okay, so there's my problem. Let's say we need to do some graphing. Let's make some graph paper, which you don't see that well, unfortunately. Sorry about that. And yeah, we can rearrange it, move it a bit smaller, and solve our problem here so that we can export it to PDF. Okay, so final thing before I open the floor to discussion is we can also do screencasting. Again, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with recording a desktop, speaking into a microphone, and showing students, how do we solve this problem, or how do we use Excel? Okay, so we can do screencasting quite easily. I've tested it on the Surface Pro; it works quite well. If you want to save this or upload it to your Echo Center, which is your lecture capture, then you probably want to use the Echo 360 app.
Did you download it? It's already there.
You have to download it. It's actually free for Griffith staff to use, and it's got all the settings built in. So this is the Echo 360 app. So yeah, we'll just start the capture. So we select the screen. It uses, as you can see, it's using the microphone in the Surface Pro. So we go start capture, wait for recording to start. Okay, so recording started, so we'll go to the OneNote application. Oh, this problem again. Okay, so let us solve this using some squiggly lines. And that's the answer right there. Okay, so this is actually recording as I'm actually solving the problem. And you need to do about 15 seconds before Echo 360 actually records it as a video. That's why I'm padding this example out a little bit.
So
But we are recording something.
So Steve, it doesn't go through lecture capture?
It's going through lecture capture.
Okay.
So this is all
So it's double recording?
double recording. But if you're sitting in your office and you're doing, if you need to solve a problem and you need to show the process, this is one way to do it.
Thanks.
Okay, so that's, well, I think that's done. So we can go and turn off capture, turn the capture off, and we can have a, this might be a bit loud, so we'll just drop the volume. I'm sure you've heard my voice enough today. Started, so it goes from one notification. Oh, this problem again. Okay, so let us solve this using some squiggly lines. And that's the answer.
Good sound.
So this is actually the only problem is you actually hear the tapping of the pen. Tap, 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 tap. And you need
Can you use an external microphone?
Can you use?
Have you an external microphone?
Yes, yeah, just plug in the USB.
Okay, so that one I do it quite the tapping.
It's very good.
It's a bit professional, Steve.
Oh, thank you.
You're out of the job now.
And you can publish. So you can publish this. Oh, sorry, I just select the video. Publish it. It's already got the settings for your for the server. It's essentially server, and it just uploads it to lecture capture. Or if you don't like Echo 360, I found this program called Active Presenter, which is free, and it does pretty much the same sort of thing. Yeah, it captures motion.
And can go to lecture capture site as well.
This one can't. This one.
And this one can.
This one produces an MP4 file which you can upload to Griffith. Whereas the Echo 360 one can upload because it's part of the same system. The only problem I found with Echo 360 is a little bit slow. It's very laggy. Whereas this other program, it records at full frame rate. It's quite smooth. The only problem is it doesn't actually support lecture capture. I think that's all I had to say about it. So I'm happy to take questions.
Thanks, Steve.
Please,
questions. Steve was first.
What did students say about it?
That's my question.
The students laugh every time I accidentally, like if I'm in the middle of something, I sometimes hit that button, or the Windows button, and they giggle a little bit, which is quite natural, but they liked it. I had this student who was actually an ICT, he was doing my course, it's a programming course, and he told me that the Surface Pro was a really good idea. He really liked it how, I was able to annotate slides. So I have a slide of actually this is one of my lectures, and I was able to, talk about certain slides and point certain things and do quick calculations. And he said it was a really good idea. It sort of made it more interactive rather than just, it was like watching a movie.
Rather than
normal,
PowerPoint.
whereas this is more interactive. And this can interact with clickers, presumably, because it's got a USB port. So we can have our PowerPoint, we can have students with clickers, and they can do polls.
Well, I like you said death by PowerPoints. I know there's been issues with students sitting there going, as you go through PowerPoint, solve problems. And whereas, writing on the board, there's a bit of interaction, this seems to get around that. So you can have the writing going on. So that's good.
Just a question, I think it's rather to actually Steve. Since PDF version of OneNote will go to cloud computing, is there any problem with Griffith Uni having those notes stored there?
In terms of
IP or...
intellectual property. Possibly, I don't know. I don't know whether they actually explored it.
No one should get access to it anyway.
No,
It
because,
should be that you're
we were
registered.
told that
That's on the
we
cloud.
shouldn't use, say, Dropbox or some
Yeah,
other
yeah,
stuff unless it is sanctioned by university, so.
You can set it so that it does save it locally. It doesn't have to go to the cloud. You can set it so it saves all your notes.
But you said it's synchronized by their cloud, so
Oh, yeah, by default, but you can turn that off.
you can turn it.
You can turn it off. I'm not sure how we synchronise between the desktop version. There might be a little bit of a process, but you can turn it off.
Okay.
So if it contravenes certain university policy, then we can turn it off, and then there's probably a solution for that on how we can transfer to the desktop version and export.
It could be